Today, we're going to be shooting photos of this $300,000 Porsche, but we're going to be using my iPad mini. So our goal today is to see how capable the iPad mini really is. So I use my iPad mini for surfing social media, online shopping, messaging friends back, pretty much the same stuff that I use my phone for. So why can't I use it to shoot photos just like I do with my phone? Is it any different? So the primary camera that I shoot photos on is a Sony A7IV. So I'm going to try and take the same frame with both cameras, and we're going to see if we can spot the differences.
Do you think, Mark, like lighting will help create separation? If creating warmth here and then bluer in the back.
So this is the iPad mini 6. It has the A15 Bionic chip, and that's the same chip that is in all the iPhone 13s, as well as the standard iPhone 14s. So the iPad has two cameras, one on the front and one on the back. The one on the front I primarily use for not selfies, mostly FaceTime, and the one on the back I don't think I've actually ever taken any photos with. This is a 28mm lens with an f1.8 aperture, and it's 12 megapixels. The Sony body and the lens are worth $4,000, and the iPad mini is worth $700. So I'm going to try and shoot the same frame with the Sony and the iPad, and let's see if we can see the difference between them. So first impressions shooting with the iPad. So I like that the shutter button is right where my thumb would be in both orientations. Super easy to touch and snap photos. This zoom section over here is pretty nice as well. However, I'm not going to be zooming because we just have one lens, so that's just cropping into the sensor. So if we want anything closer, I'm just going to crop it in post. Running around with an expensive piece of glass like this does not make me feel good, especially in a warehouse like this where everything is sharp and dusty and dirty. I feel like I'm just going to drop this thing and smash the screen. I do have a case for the iPad. However, when I open the case, it covers the camera. The biggest advantage to shooting on this iPad is the size of the screen. The screen on this thing is massive. It is so nice versus just looking through an EVF or the screen on the back of your camera.
I'm just trying to like get a similar frame, so should I just like back it straight?
Dude, are you serious? Ooh.
So why are we here? Why are we at this awesome looking warehouse with a Porsche? My friend Alex, or the Car Creative as you may know him, got hired by a very cool company that you've probably heard of, got asked to shoot some stills of a Porsche in a really cool location. He was nice enough to invite me and a couple other friends to just come hang out, shoot photos of the car, eat some pizza, no expectations, no deliverables, and just hang out.
Let's see what's underneath. What's the last one here? Oh, we got pep, basic pepperoni.
After shooting with the iPad, I have a lot to say about it. First off, some of the pros. The screen on this thing is incredible. It's nice how big it is and that it's touchscreen. The interface is nice and it's familiar. If you shot on an iPhone before, you're gonna know how to use this camera. I haven't been shooting for long, but the battery life is actually pretty decent. Another pro is that I don't need to unload my photos. They go straight into my camera roll and then they're gonna get uploaded to the cloud. So I can access these photos on my computer, on my iPhone, or right on the iPad. The cloud is handy and I don't have to worry about SD cards or dongles or storage. It's easy to review the shots. Once I've taken the photos, I can zoom in, I can check the info, I can delete as I go. I don't feel like I need to wait until I get to the computer to start culling through my photos. However, there are some cons to the iPad that I've noticed right away. First off, this thing is not great in low light. I feel like I noticed right away, these photos are crunchy. Yes, I'm shooting in a dark warehouse, and maybe this isn't a fair test. Maybe I do need to take this out during the day. But today specifically, the photos are looking a little rough. This little guy is very delicate. I feel like I'm going to drop it, especially juggling between my Sony camera and this. It just feels like I'm holding a piece of glass, and not a durable piece of glass either. Even if I set this down on the back, it's going to scrape and destroy the camera. So I feel like I always need to keep this in my hand. I do feel very limited just having one camera, especially standing around a bunch of other photographers taking photos of this car. They're getting a lot more diverse angles using their zoom lenses and other primes. Yes, I can crop and post. However, I have a difficult time composing an image knowing I'm gonna crop later.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, this is like riding a rail. I wouldn't feel like going through these New York streets yet, but...
So I've gone ahead and edited a bunch of the photos. So let's put them side by side and see if we can notice any differences between the Sony camera and the iPad mini. Okay, so here's the first set of images. You take your guess on which one you think was taken on the iPad mini. Did you get it right? So while I was editing these photos, what stood out to me the most between these two cameras was the difference between the white balances and the tones. The native iPad camera uses some sort of HDR and brightens up all the darker spots and crushes all of the whites. So the images tend to be a little bit more flat, whereas the Sony just captures what light is in the scene. I'm sure there's a way to turn the HDR off in the iPad settings. There's many times that the photos actually look a lot better on my phone or on the iPad than they do on my Sony. Can you tell which is the $4,000 camera and the $700 iPad mini? I think this one was a little easier. The one on the left is the iPad mini. Personally, I think what gives it away is the depth of field and the sharpness. When I was editing, I did try to use some masks and blur the background and reduce the sharpness, but I don't think it really stacks up to what we naturally captured in camera with the Sony. The iPad's aperture said we were shooting at 1.8 and the Sony's was at 4. I don't see much depth of field in the iPad. What do you guys think? Which one of these photos looks better and are they comparable? Next image. Which one is the iPad? Which one is the camera? And the iPad is... If we zoom in on these photos, I think again what gives this one away is the over sharpening on the iPad mini. Yes, you can try and soften it with a bunch of different ways in editing, but it just comes out so nice in camera with the Sonys. Let's go through a couple more photos. Lock in your guesses. Let me show you the before and after these photos. You can see the white balance is a little bit different and that I had to crop in a little bit closer on the iPad, but I feel like these are edited to look pretty similar. A couple more. I remember when I was snapping this photo that the iPad looks so bad. I don't know if it was the haze in the air that was just sprayed or that I was holding this so low that I couldn't really see the screen properly. And I was thinking that the iPad quality was not going to stand up anywhere close to what the Sony was capturing. But I think I edited these pretty closely. Which one's the iPad photo? The one on the right. Here's what these images looked like before I edited them, and here's after. I did need to adjust the white balance and soften the background as much as I could in the iPad image, but I still think it looks over sharpened. However, all in all, I think they do look pretty similar and the untrained eye would honestly probably not even notice the difference. Okay, last one. Is the untrained eye gonna be able to tell the difference? You tell me. So what did we learn here? First off, I'm still trying to figure out this whole YouTube thing, so if you've made it this far in the video, thank you very much. Please check out some of my other videos, give me some feedback, comment. I would love to hear from you. I have no idea who is watching these videos. Secondly, the iPad actually performed a lot better than I thought it would. Looking at the images that I was taking on the iPad while I was shooting them, especially like right beside the Sony camera, I thought the Sony was a clear winner. I felt like the iPad was capturing light that wasn't there, and the Sony was capturing exactly what I saw. I can personally say for myself that seeing these edited images side by side, I don't think the difference is as obvious as I thought it would be. Looking a little bit closer, yes, you can see the differences, but I don't know if the average person is going to notice. All in all, I was pleasantly surprised with the results of this. I was not expecting to see what I saw. Go watch Alex's video. He's doing some really cool stuff on the internet, and tell him that Davey Gravy sent you. Thanks for sticking to the end. If you got any more ideas of what kind of videos I should be making, let me know. I would love to hear. I'm open to pretty much anything. And I'll see you next week for another video.